The week of February 18 to 24, 2026 marked a definitive shift in the AI industry. We moved past the hype phase and into a high stakes era defined by massive infrastructure spending, rigorous global regulation, and continuing focus on agentic AI. Here's a look at the top stories that shaped the AI landscape this past week, so let's dive in. First, we look at the India AI Impact Summit and the Pax Silica Declaration. The event in India apparently drew 250,000 attendees, with high-profile CEOs, for example, from OpenAI, Anthropic, NVIDIA. I covered them all last week. So what was the big deal? India joined the Pax Silica Declaration, a US-led initiative aimed at securing AI supply chains. 88 countries also signed the AI Declaration, committing to ethical AI development. The Pax Silica Declaration, signed on February 20, specifically targets AI's end-to-end supply chain. India's entry focuses on weaponized dependency, ensuring that the minerals for chips and the data centers for models are controlled by a coalition of trusted partners to prevent economic coercion. A significant sidebar at the summit was UNESCO's release of a brief for the judiciary. So with 44% of legal professionals already using AI, and the that's only 44%. The summit focused on training judges to handle AI evidence. Fantastic. Staying in India for now, the Indian government allocated $1.1 billion to a state-backed AI VC fund, and also the Adani Group pledged $100 billion by 2035 for renewable power data centers. When it comes to global expansion, OpenAI and Anthropic both announced new office in India, Bangalore, and Mumbai, recognizing India as the second largest user base for ChatGPT and Claude. Looking at some updates on Claude 4.6 and Gemini 3.1 Pro continued their rapid release cycles with a focus on reasoning and context. For Anthropic's Claude 4.6, which was released on February 18, this update focused on computer use and long context reasoning. Pricing was kept stable while significantly boosting performance in coding and autonomous planning. Anthropic also featured computer use. This isn't just a chatbot. It can autonomously navigate a desktop, click buttons, and fill out forms to complete office tasks. So yes, it does the work for you. Google's Gemini 3.1 Pro was launched on February 19, so this model set new records on the ArcAGI2 logic benchmark at 77.1%, signaling a leap in what they call System 2 thinking. So the ability of AI to solve entirely new logic patterns that it hadn't seen in training. So I guess 100% is where you want to be. So what about this 77.1%? Gemini 3.1 doubled the score of its predecessor, which was 31.1%. It achieved this by utilizing thinking tokens, where the model pauses to verify its own logic before outputting a result. Basically, so while previous models focus on pattern matching, this new approach focuses on, again, System 2 thinking, which is deliberate logical reasoning. Could we teach this to people? And well, actually, people are tested on this, and people typically score between 75 and 100%. And so as a point of comparison, and to give another comparison, the early AI models would typically score around 5% on these kinds of tests. So now most AI models apparently score around 50% or over 50%. But I find this quite fascinating. So we'll be watching that as that develops, and the first AI model to reach 100%. Can't wait. Cohere released Tiny Aya, or is that Tiny AI, which uses 3.35 billion parameters, for those of you who know what that means, and is optimized for high quality performance in 67 languages on consumer grade hardware. Congratulations. No, this is not an advertisement. This is news. On regulatory matters, governments around the world signaled, this is regulatory. On regulatory matters, governments around the world signaled that the Wild West era of AI is officially over. And first off, the Grok investigation, Ireland's Data Protection Commission, and the UK's Ofcom both opened formal probes into X, formerly known as Twitter, and When are we going to stop saying that? It's X. X, 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 X. What is Twitter? I don't know. I forgot. The focus of X's investigation is on the Grok chatbot and its role in generating non-consensual imagery and AI altered photos of real people. So I also find this a bit fascinating because it's not the first time companies have been investigated. However, unlike previous slap in the wrist fines, this large-scale inquiry explores if generative features are being used faster than the legal safeguards required for lawful processing of personal data. And at the crux of the matter, the probe will investigate whether X failed to build guardrails before deployment. I could give you the answer to that question. The Spanish government issued an order by Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez to prosecutors to investigate Meta, TikTok, and X over the spread of AI-generated abuse-based content. So this is becoming a growing challenge for these companies, and governments are on the way. And finally, not to skip out on the UK government, which confirmed it will criminalize the creation or solicitation of explicit deepfakes under the Data Use and Access Act. So congratulations on the UK. I think their government is probably farther ahead than anybody else on these matters. So good on them. Agentic AI is the new standard for discussion about AI. The creator of the popular open source agent framework OpenClaw joined OpenAI to help build accessible agents for everyday users. Mistral AI acquired Koyeb as their first major acquisition, which is a serverless deployment startup, to build out its Mistral compute stack, specifically aimed at running complex AI agents at scale. So I was also quite fascinated by the serverless approach, or what they call serverless. So Koyeb is a serverless platform. For Mistral, this means they can now offer what they call bursty compute, where an AI agent only uses and pays for processing power only the exact millisecond it is performing a task. And by owning the deployment layer, which is Koyeb, and building data centers in Sweden, Mistral aims to be the first full-stack European AI company, removing any technical dependency on US cloud giants like AWS and Azure. Major companies like Walmart and Accenture announced shifts toward agentic workflows. Accenture acquired Avensis on February 24 to bring autonomous network AI to the telecommunications sector. It's news. And making a $2.5 trillion infrastructure reality check. Gartner released a report on February 19 saying that global AI spending will hit $2.5 trillion in 2026, a 44% increase over 2025. The projected spending for 2026 comes with a warning. AI has entered the trough of disillusionment. 1.3 trillion of the total spend is going to foundations, specifically AI optimized servers and high bandwidth memory, and this probably, of course, explains why Nvidia and other hardware companies saw record revenue, while software companies are being grilled on their ROI. They also mentioned in the report actually this iceberg ratio, which Gartner said is for every $1 spent on an AI model, enterprises are spending $3 to $5 on glue code, large vector databases, and human training. So there is a lot going into this besides just chips and servers, and along with that, I'm sure is a lot of employment. There'll be more on that in just a moment. So there has been some backlash among investors. Despite massive spending, investors are getting jittery. The big four, Google, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft, saw their combined market cap dip by nearly $1 trillion this month as shareholders demand to see measurable ROI from AI. So something more than just experimental pilots. And sustainability is becoming a core operational metric. Companies like Accelera AI, which raised 200 million euros on February 24, are gaining traction by offering energy efficient green AI chips for edge computing. And okay, so back to the employment issue. The narrative that AI is causing immediate mass layoffs was challenged this week by another Gartner report on February 24, which found that AI is driving restructuring, and it was directly responsible for fewer than 55,000 job cuts in 2025, which for comparison is a fraction of those job cuts being attributed to general economic right sizing. So, okay, only 55,000 jobs were cut due to AI last year. So there we have it. Thanks, Gartner. We don't need to worry about AI taking our jobs. Phew, all in the clear, all just a lot of hype. And with that, all the best on your AI journey and have a great day ahead.